I've seen a lot of RV problems, but nothing shocked me more than this water heater that needed to be replaced and the customer never used it once. Hi everybody, it's Deb with Deb's RV Services, and today I have a great video for you. I'm going to give you the 3 lessons that I learned during my stay in Washington as an RV tech. So I decided for my last video in the series of my time with Kylene that I was going to just combine things and talk about the 3 major things that I found during my stay that are preventable. So there's a lot of times that techs get calls out to RVs and it's simple, like a switch. Or if you would have done this preventative maintenance item, you wouldn't be dealing with this right now. So sometimes it's something like a $20 item can save you thousands in repairs, which I'll tell you about the water heater at the end of the video, so you have to stick around. But I'm going to go through my top 3, and my first one is going to be about batteries. There were many times that we got calls on jobs and we would get there and the customer would state that the lights didn't work, or they weren't getting any power out of their batteries. Why did their batteries die? They had replaced them. Something's not working right. And so there were all different types of scenarios. So each one is a separate situation, but they all tend to be, they can all be narrowed down to the same thing, and that is keeping your batteries charged. What I noticed, and it could be something like an inline fuse blew. So a lot of times on batteries, you will have the battery bank and then the lines coming out of it, and there is a fuse right there, and that fuse can blow. On one of the situations where we went out to see a client, she didn't know what was going on with her RV, and she did have many issues, but one of them was that she had never looked at that fuse, and the fuse was so old and bad that it crumbled when we took it out. So the other thing is that she had the disconnect switch on off. So there is a disconnect switch in every RV typically. Okay, not every RV, let me take that back. I always look for the disconnect switch, and 9 times out of 10, there is one. Sometimes on a travel trailer, it's out by the tongue, and on motorhomes, it's on the inside door. You could have fifth wheels, could be in that front cargo bay, all different types of scenarios, but you want to look for something that is called a disconnect switch. When you have the switch in the on position, that means that you're allowing the batteries to get charged from the converter, and you can sometimes have a solar disconnect switch. There's all different scenarios, but you want to understand your system so that you know that your battery is getting properly charged. And in this woman's situation, she not only had a terrible fuse that was old and crumbling, but she also had the disconnect switch in the off position, so her batteries weren't getting any charge, and therefore her batteries were dead. And we had another customer, similar thing. He wasn't getting the charge from the converter, and the batteries were dying, and when we were trying to test things, they were only at like 11.8 volts, and then it was continuing to go down as we were trying to inspect and work through the problems. But if those batteries aren't getting charged from either shore power or from solar, and if you have it in the off position and it doesn't allow the charge to come through from shore power, then you're going to have dead batteries and nothing is going to work. Sometimes it can be a situation where the converter is no longer working correctly, because we did have to replace a converter out there, and we actually did that twice. So there can be situations where the converter is not working properly. That's why it's good if you check these other things and you're like, no, I have my shore power is connected, there's no fuses that are blown, and the disconnect switch is in the right position, and I'm still having a problem. It could come down to a bad converter. So you want to call a tech, but try to check these things in the beginning before you contact that tech, because you could save yourself a lot of money, because troubleshooting and tech time, the hourly rate, is very expensive for a lot of you and not easy on the pocketbook. So you can try to do these things to prevent that. The other thing for maintenance is you want to make sure that you are putting your distilled water in your battery if you have lead acid batteries. And I talk about that in other videos, and I'm just going to go over it a little bit here. You have different types of batteries. If you have lead acid batteries, it should say it on the battery. It's usually just the traditional cheapest battery you can get, and it comes with the RV. It's usually lead acid. So you have these cells in there that can get dehydrated, and then it can cause problems where you won't hold a charge. It doesn't convert properly from the converter over and give it charge. And so that can become an issue, and it will kill your battery and make it work like wonky. So always add, and it's got to be distilled, and you want to check on that every few months, especially if you're in a dry climate like Arizona or somewhere where there's a lot of sun and it's very dry. You want to make sure that you're checking those batteries out, set a date on your calendar to look at it. And if you don't want to do any of that, if that scares you, or you just are like, I don't want to deal with any of it, then hire a technician. You can go to rvhelp.com. You can reach out if I'm in the area and I can come out and do this preventative maintenance for you. It's super easy and I don't mind doing it. It helps to have somebody that can come out and service your RV, whether it's every 6 months or every year, to do some of these things. And it's going to save you in the long run, because then you're not going to have to replace the battery. The other type of battery is the AGM, but the AGM doesn't require the maintenance and they're a little bit more expensive. Worth it. I had AGMs before I went to lithium. So the third type is the lithium, and you can get in lithium, you don't have to worry about putting water. It's only the lead acid that you have to worry about. So depending on what you have, check and see, and then you want to add those things to your calendar to make sure that your battery stays in good condition. The second major call that we got was all about debris in the appliances. And I'm telling you, I've talked about this before. I have videos on how to service a furnace. I have videos on how to clean the air conditioner. And I can't tell you how many times that we get calls to go out and service somebody that says their water heater's not working correctly. I created a video with Kylene where we serviced somebody that had stink bugs in the water heater, and we had to service that, and I will link that video in the description. That is a very common call. We have to go out and just to come to find out that there are bugs or spiders, debris, dust, hair. It can prevent your sail switch from working correctly and cause a problem in your furnace. It can create a problem in your water heater, and what it does is it tries to ignite, and it's just attempting, and it blows out this big boom sound, and you have this big orange flame. And you know, there's a couple issues with that it could be. You could have too much airflow going in, but a lot of times it is debris and bugs. They love propane. So any appliance with propane, the back of the fridge, the furnace, and the water heater, you are going to get bugs that try to get in there. You can use preventative screens that are for RVs, but you always want to be careful. Preventing airflow is a problem too. That's why it voids the warranty. So make sure you're getting one that's correct for your appliance, and don't just block your venting. Blocking venting can be such a problem because everything is about airflow. And it's just like your house. When you have a house, you always change out the furnace filters and you make sure that those are clean because they collect the debris for you. You have to do the same thing in an RV. It's super, super critical. So you are talking hundreds of dollars you have the fee for the mobile tech to come out, and then the time it takes for them to clean all the parts, take it apart and put it back together, or possibly replace parts. I have a friend that has a refrigerator, and every year I maintenance it for her, and it blows out and it won't light up again, and it has a problem. Well, when I take things apart, I look, and the little igniter collects all kinds of debris on it, and it just got really dark and it collected like soot and different things. So I have to clean it off, and then I put it back together and it starts working again just fine. So it's good to get these things maintenance. If you have somebody come out and do a preventative maintenance every year, you're not going to have to deal with these issues, and your appliances are going to work great. I can't tell you how many people you go out there and it's all about preventative maintenance. So that was the second big thing. Debris in the burners of all your appliances, please make sure you get them serviced. The third item, which is the one that shocked me the most, was this water heater that needed to be replaced. Now, we went out to see this woman, and she's the one that also had the problem with her fuse and her battery and the disconnect switch. And I honestly see this all the time with people that maybe got their first travel trailer and nobody told them anything about how to do preventative maintenance, how to care for it. It just sat there. So this woman in particular never used her water heater. She said that she actually filled it once though, but then she never used it, so she left it. The problem with that is that she had water in that water heater in the same anode rod for about 4 years. When we went out there and we looked, because there was an issue on the interior where there was leaking. So that water heater had rusted out so bad that it actually cracked, and there was water that had gotten in, and the electrical panel was right there. The electrical panel lugs became corroded and all needed to be replaced. So when we looked at that water heater, it was a toothpick for an anode rod. And you need to understand the importance of this $20 item that can save you thousands. This item prevents the tank from eating itself. And you have these on your tank type that are suburban tanks typically. They require an anode rod. The Atwoods don't require the anode rod. It's made out of a different material. But the Suburbans require the anode rod. So if you have one of those, please, every single year, check the anode rod. You don't want it to be a toothpick. If you have some that's starting to pit and it's like starting to wear, you're still okay. You don't have to get rid of it immediately. You don't want it to become a toothpick. It slowly will start to eat away at the anode rod instead of the tank. In her situation, she had the water in the tank and she had the anode rod, and it was probably taking care of it for a while, but then once that anode rod became a toothpick, it could no longer rely on it, and it just started eating away at the tank itself, and then the whole thing became rusted, and we had to remove it. The problem is it was a scamp trailer, and it had rivets. Do you know how difficult it is to deal with rivets? Rivets are extremely difficult to remove and replace if you don't have the right tools. And you basically have to drill out all the rivets and then remove them. It took us an additional hour and a half maybe, with both of us working on it, just to get all those rivets removed. And it was on an angle, so the whole water heater was on an angle. It was, the amount of positions that Kylene had to put herself in just to get this tank to stay put and get back into place, it was kind of comical. And it's really no fun for the tech. That's why it costs so much money, because it's really a lot of work. It's a lot of labor, and you have to have the right riveting gun, which she had a manual one. I tried to do it, and it was like almost impossible. I couldn't believe that she actually went around that entire thing with her manual gun. I think since then she's purchased something to help her with rivets to make it easier on these type of jobs, because you never know when you're going to land on something with rivets. I mean, we had to work on a Brinkley and we had to deal with rivets with the refrigerator, and the same thing. It's like rivets, but it does take a lot of extra time. You're going to spend a lot more money because the technician is going to be there longer, and it's a pain. So this water heater, this poor client, she didn't want to have to spend all that money. I mean, it was a lot of money for the cost of the tank, the cost of the labor time that it took to remove it and replace it, and then all the other jobs too, because now we had to change the lugs and everything in the electrical panel, and then her whole battery situation. All that stuff could have been avoided. It all could have been avoided. $20 part, and understanding how your batteries work, and understanding about the disconnect switch, all those things. So you guys, I really thought that this would be a great video to just summarize a lot of the jobs that Kylene and I went on. We had a great time. I learned an absolute ton. But preventative maintenance is something that I'm super passionate about, and something that I'm learning as a technician in the field that is the most important thing. If you can't do it yourself, hire a technician. It's going to save you money down the road, because you're not going to have to pay for that thing to be replaced. Just have them come out and do all the servicing that you need if you don't want to do it yourself. It's simple. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. You guys, I am in Michigan now, and my surroundings are different. If you notice, I'm in my son's apartment. I'm all moved in. Everything is great, and I have this new studio. Do you like the little cat photo over there? I think it's hilarious. My son has a really good sense of humor. He's really funny, and we thought it would be like a good little thing in the background just to make people laugh. So I will be doing my videos from the apartment until the end of December, and then I'm going to travel back out to Arizona. But for now, I'm staying put. I am doing servicing in Michigan. If you need me for an inspection, if you need me for tech work, I'm happy to do it, preventative maintenance. The only thing I'm probably not going to do with the tech work is I'm not going to do super difficult items where like awnings and slides and stuff like that, and because it takes two people, and I'm just not going to do that. So I'm going to work on smaller jobs like water heaters, furnaces, and refrigerators I can work on, and then batteries, maintenance, sealant, all that kind of stuff. Make sure you stick around and watch next week's video, because my special guest you are going to absolutely love, and I'm very, very excited about it. So thank you for being here. Please like and subscribe, you guys. If you want to do your own inspection, you want to click on the link in the description and go to my store and purchase my DIY workbook. I still have it on sale. So I haven't removed the sale price, but I'm going to take it off the sale price, within the next week, and then it's not going to be on sale for a little while. I'll probably do it again around Christmas time, like the Black Friday sale or something like that. But for now, I'm going to take it off the sale price. So if you want it, please get it down below, and then you can have access to my free community where you can ask questions about the workbook and all that. Thank you, and I will see you on the next video. Have a great rest of your week.